So let's see. It says it has electrical circuitry, electrical circuitry that Hans Alfvén first published as any star or any magnetized body in the star system. Also, the magnetic field of Saturn is perfectly aligned with its rotation axis, which means the standard model for how electromagnetism is created between the two bodies does not work. Okay, yeah. So basically, the way Saturn spins, kind of, I guess it
goes against
the laws of gravity.
Exactly.
Because there has to be an offset of like where the rotation axis and the magnetic axis
because they're supposed to be propelling against each other and like keeping each other in place rather than operating in an electrical current.
Mm-hmm. And that's why it's like, and you can kind of, it's weird to think about it, but like if you ever see like a video game explosion or a cartoon explosion, it'll kind of be like, or like even when a planet explodes in Star Wars or something, it'll look like Saturn almost, like it'll have like a ball of like, it'll be like a ball of energy and then like a ring coming like kind of emanating out of it.
Oh yeah. When it explodes, the ring just kind of comes out of the middle of wherever the explosion is coming from.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and I think that's kind of like what they're basing like what it kind of looks like now. It's like the end part of an explosion, pretty much like.
And it just kind of like stayed like that.
Yeah, exactly. But it's slowly dissipating.
You'll understand what we're talking about in a second when we tell you what we found out about Saturn, because that's crazy shit.
What do you have on this?
I just wrote down like the key points. So okay. I'm like, you're right here where we're talking about the connection of the Saturn and the D-ring, and then later on in the video it talks about how they think that Saturn was our original home star, and then they start breaking down how like there are different types of stars, like red dwarfs, blue giants, white stars, mm-hmm. and how there's like large reds, medium reds, and small reds, and like how the original theories of like how gravity works deems that like a dwarf red is like a failing star, but actually all three of those different versions of red stars operate in the exact same way.
Exactly.
And when you look at it through the electrical universe way of looking at things, you find how the mechanisms really work within the stars, and then they start breaking down how Saturn is potentially what they call a brown dwarf.
A brown dwarf, exactly. And it's a proto brown dwarf now because it was emanating a lot more heat than it was, and then supposedly. All right,
well, I think that now it's just like a core, right? Because like I didn't know this, but I guess does every star have like a core in the very center of it?
I don't know. I don't know exactly if they can. They don't know because I don't know if it was in this video or in another one, but when the sunspots happen, they know that it's cooler in the core inside of the star rather than at the outermost.
Which would make a lot of sense. Just like it's kind of the opposite for a planet, because the planet has like a star on the inside. It's mm-hmm. got the magma core on the inside, and it's cool on the outside, which it doesn't make sense in the opposite of a star being really hot on the outside and cool on the inside. But maybe this electric theory will help us explain like why those things are.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so no, this is the electric universe, like basically theory or model.
Oh yeah, cool.
So it pretty much states that the galactic scale of electromagnetism is the dominating force / source of the power for creating stars, like as opposed to, as we just talked about, gravity
forming
and electrons, finding an exact combination in an exact moment to do these exact things. Anyway, the Herschel telescope has discovered stars. Like this is what you were talking about. This is the Herschel telescope discovering stars forming like pearls on a necklace. Basically, they can see a bunch of pearls, a bunch of stars forming like in a line. Which they don't, which like pretty much it goes against like all of like the whole
in a Fibonacci spiral.
Yeah, exactly. Oh no, that's how the galaxy is working. I don't know if that's how. I think this is just like one of like the galaxies that are like one of the stars that are like one of the star clusters they found. Was in the form like it was in the Fibonacci. But I think like they just found like a little part of it that was like a line like perfectly.
How far
forming.
away were those stars forming?
Exactly. Like I think they were pretty close because they saw it all in like one.
Really?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Which like goes against what we think about stars, because they have to have these perfect like environments to be formed, which can't happen if there's another star forming pretty close to it and another star forming like next to it. Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty much stating that it would be an electric current going, like you said, in a Fibonacci spiral, starting from the center of the universe, going out, and the and as the electric filaments would pass through different molecular clouds, they would squeeze together, thus creating the stars and the planets. Because of how the density of the electricity would react with the clouds. So depending on the density of the clouds would be what stars or what planets would be made.
That's fucking crazy. The shit that tripped me out the most was that I guess in the gravity theory that planets are supposed to always come after the star because they're formed of the particles that are like left over from the star's creation.
Exactly.
And how that doesn't even apply because they've found like floating planetary objects around forming stars.
Forming stars, exactly.
Which would further prove that all those objects are actually being formed at the same time in an electric line. And if the planet is a smaller object, it would make sense that it would be done first because it's tinier versus a star that's getting formed. It's like taking a lot longer, which would it would make sense as to why the planetary objects are already floating around while the star is still being created in this theory.
Exactly. Because when you're talking about gravity, it's all based on luck, or it's like really based on precision and like exactness, which we can't even emulate really in a lab, But what we can do is emulate like electrical currents in a controlled fucking like these little metal tubes that actually create suns and like little Earths, which these dudes actually do,
Yo, that's fucking crazy. Bro.
So yeah,
when I heard them talking about that, I'm like, I want to see that. I would like.
They were doing this back in like I think he said back in like the 20s.
No way.
This dude did that, yeah.
Well, I mean, if they can make an atomic bomb, then they can make a time.
Yeah, exactly. We've kind of been stuck in the same kind of sciences for a while, bro. Honestly, like, technology hasn't really done too much of a boost. Like, until we realize that, like, what Tesla's doing, with all this, like, crazy electromagnetism, where he's applying electricity to all this stuff. Not Tesla, I'm sorry, fucking Elon Musk. But
with Tesla.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, what you just were saying about the test that they were running and how electricity versus gravity, it made me think of that Bob Lazar shit where they're talking about how the crafts...
And when you in my face, I'm not here trying to make a friend. I'd rather post at the crib and get paid. I'm not trying to get faded. Unless you got dropped, but I know that you don't. No, we're not related. So I don't know why you keep calling me bro. Yeah, I stick with the squad like Gorilla Glue. You should stay on your job, you got shit to do. Or maybe you don't, it's a principle. Ironic, I never did shit in school. But now it's all numbers like coding. Prescription is coding. I said that I quit.